I picture when I was like younger and we were in Albany, and one of the drag queens, is her name Dakota or Azraya?
Azraya is her performance.
Azraya, and she was holding me up on her shoulders, and I was like cheering and chanting along with everyone else, and that's one of the main memories I have.
Well, I was born and raised in the village, so I grew up amongst the freedom of spirit, and I guess I have a show business joie de vivre. But for those people that didn't grow up here, I can observe that just the first time in a drag bar or at a drag show, they just open up and they just adore it, no matter from where they seem to be from. It's fun watching someone experience it for the first time.
Viva doesn't even open until 11.
Birk, I'll just come with you.
And then I'll get you plastered, and I'm hosting there on like.
And then I'll be in right form on Maddelynn. There she is in true form. Work it out. Boy. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, and then I get to go see Nina Flowers after. Oh, that'll be fun.
She's spinning on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, this is becoming a fantasy weekend.
Pack to stay the night Friday night after Bushwood. We'll go to my house. We'll eat back.
Yeah, and then we can know.
Oh, you're on.
You know how hard I'm working on my girl.
Really?
You see this?
Well, I did go and get you. I went and got healthy girl things
really
today.
not.
I went and got healthy girl things today.
Feel this. Feel this.
Yeah.
I'm like really not fucking around. I'm pressing 280 right now.
You're lifting?
I'm lifting. I want to like literally when I come.
He's everything. Come on, underwears.
And guess what it is?
It's Marco.
I'm changing.
Oh.
Can I watch you change?
Oh shit!
I'm sitting right now.
Here, can you get a picture of me?
Yeah. He was
Ray.
Oh. He was in. I need to know that he was right. Right? But he was in the round city with us.
Yeah, he was the one that was fighting with Penny all weekend.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, you may not be willing to admit it, but we all know here at KDKA-TV that you're not tuned in to see Dan Marino and Phil, whatever his name was, music. You're looking for Doris. Let's bring on Doris Fish, drag queen, and make her welcome to Pittsburgh today. Let's dance.
Hi, John.
No, let's don't. Thank you. Thank you, Doris. I don't know what to say about you, dear. How long did... let me ask you. Let me start by saying how long it takes you to get this way.
Years of practice. But I suppose in a day it would take me at least 2 hours to get ready. That's if I know what I'm going to do, and I have a good idea of what I'm going to wear.
Yeah.
If I don't know what I'm going to wear, it just takes days hunting through things, trying to decide.
Have you got a lot to choose from? I mean...
Oh, I have a room, not quite as big as this room, but I have a large room with racks hanging from the ceiling, boxes on the floor, wardrobes spewing forth beautiful costumes and gowns. Oh, just all over the place, wardrobes with shoes.
How many?
Shoes? Well, not all of them fit me. Aren't these a lovely pair?
Yes, quite.
I've got about 200 or 300 pairs.
You didn't walk over here from the Hilton looking like this, did you? Did you come? There's another
Well, I did look a little better then because I was a little younger. There was a few minutes ago.
Did you get some looks? Seriously?
Yeah, I always get a few looks.
Is that why you do it, Doris?
Yes, I'm afraid I do have a pathological need for attention. And I get it.
What do people say to you? What's the most outrageous comment you've ever gotten?
Oh, my goodness, I don't think I can remember anything fabulously outrageous. Oh, I remember some little children on the street saying, "Are you a man?" I'll just say, "Oh, not tonight, darling."
Where is it? Where is it?
Growing up in Massachusetts, like,
they like to pretend that they're super liberal, but the actual people aren't, or they weren't at the time.
There used to be like mesh material over on this side. Do you have like the thicker, it's almost like a sports material.
I used to like come home with like bruises all over. Like, it was bad. Growing up in Massachusetts was not fun.
Here? On the left or the right?
Things didn't start to change until I started like defending myself and starting being a bitch in school. Because it's like, there's a point where you like, after all the harassment, that you just stop giving a fuck. You know what I mean?
Dude, can you show me? Ugh, I fucking hate him.
I have always been like an artist, like a visual person, like ever since I was really, really little. And then my mom showed me how to put on my eyeliner when I was 13 before she went to work one day. And I kind of like ran with it because I was this angsty Manson kid, like all goth and upset about everything. And so I'd be that queer in homeroom putting on his pure white pressed powder compact from Hot Topic and being like all upset with everybody. But like thinking back at like how much violence I had to endure in high school, I kind of had good reason to be pissed about everything. If I knew then what I know now, things would be very, very different.
What time is it? What time is it? That's what time it is. All right, you guys are fierce. We've got $3 drinks at the bar. Just to let you know, both your bartenders are single. Alert. And I want to let you know, if you don't tip a drag queen when she performs, I will eat you. I'm hungry as fuck and I'm on a diet. You are gonna die. So if you like what you see, tip a drag queen. Everybody in the house, make some noise right now for Maddelynn Hatter!
First time I did drag was, of course, for our Halloween. Like seriously. And I did, it was for this show called Drag Wars. I was so awful. And I did it to Britney's Piece of Me. I ended up tearing off my shirt at one point, ended up ripping off all of my nails every time she said, "You want a piece of me?" and throwing it at the audience. It was really disgusting and funny for me, but terrifying for everyone else. And that was that. And my drag name was Apocalypse at the time. Lips. I thought I was really clever.
It's your Twitter. I'm sorry. What do I do? She's yelling at me. Okay, wait. I have to go to her Periscope now and find it and then share it. We're here at The Real Deal. This is my first night here in New York. And Maddie totally graciously hired me here. Gracious. And we're gonna have a really good time. But I love you. Oh, that's Chaka. Chaka, you're live. Say hi.
Oh, hi. I was about to carry you, but I'm not gonna do it. On your Periscope or Kaleidoscope or whatever you're probably using.
Periscope.
Thought so. Awesome. But you know we don't have Wi-Fi, right? So you're using your minutes right now. I know you're nervous.
I pay for unlimited. You're on T-Mobile? No, I'm
Call her on the 4th of the month and see if that phone is working.
Give me a special plan.
Very few people have that Madonna story where it's, I moved to New York with $40 in my pocket and a dream. I had it all planned out. I had started selling Jell-O shots in Baltimore. So I kind of knew that that was like a really great way to make coin. Real New Yorkers, I feel like, have a New York mentality, whether they're a drag queen or not. I've always been a cutting queen. And that comes from just having to, growing up the fat kid and growing up the fag. At the trailer park, it's not like the coolest thing to be the fat gay kid. So you have to develop like a reptilian-like skin to, deal with all the BS, which kind of is perfect when you move to New York because then you already have those like survival skills. I just can't keep quiet. I'd like to bring to your attention one more time my tits. It looks so good, and I'm like, it's a super high caloric intake diet. Thank you. Well, the Ritz real deal. It's myself and 3 other girls. They all perform. I host the show and sell Jell-O shots. We're there to make everyone's time in New York City or at the Ritz awesome. And that's a great job.
Oh my God, the Ritz is everything. The Ritz is home. That's like home base. Like, you know, like Drag Race, like if you get on, you're like, oh, blah, 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 what's your home base? Like, I would list the Ritz. Like the place that's become like a safe haven and like a place to learn and grow because I'm just surrounded by so much talent there.
I mean, I've been there for 7 years. I literally walked into the Ritz and said, hey guys, this is my favorite place to come to when I visit New York City. I'd like to sell Jell-O shots here. Would that be okay? I've been there for 7 years. We are a family there, and we look out for each other really, really quite a lot, and it's awesome.
A minute ago, I asked you, are you always on? Are you always performing?
Well, no, I go through a stage where I put on the costume and the makeup and I change personality and I become much more self-confident, much more flamboyant when I'm without my costume and makeup. I just fade into the background completely, and I like that. I like to have the 2 lives going at once.
When you fade into the background, you're a man?
Yes.
Now, are you a woman right now?
Yes.
Now, come on now. You're a man.
No, I'm a woman today.
How? Now that's... You know what? If we were buck naked, we'd look just alike. And that's
I'm
why...
probably in better shape.
That's why, you...
See, I work out.
You may well be, but my point is you're a man, period, right? Zip.
Biologically, I am a male, yes. That is, biologically and medically, I would be classified as a male. Emotionally, I'm somewhere in between. And my personality, if you take your personality away from your physical body, what gender is your personality?
Yeah.
Some people naturally say their personality is the same gender as their body. I don't believe that my personality is exactly the same gender as my physical body.
So that way you can put your back up against me and then we can like, cool. Okay, so. Exalted in the sea. Drag is my creative outlet. I may not be on a Broadway stage yet, but every day I'm getting into makeup, I'm becoming a different character. I can do whatever I want with Jada. There's no limit to what I can do. And there will always be a spotlight, and there will always be music. So this suffices until I book that Broadway contract. The more that I keep that in mind, that's the main thing that keeps me going some days, because there are some days I wake up and I go, are you kidding me? And then I realize, okay, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. You gotta wait.
I got 1 drink to the left.
Girl, I got some more if you need them.
Just 1. Just 1 ticket. 1 ticket left.
I got some more if you need them, because I don't use them.
Oh, here.
That occasional friend, I don't like a lot of people. This is confessional. I don't like a lot of people.
A little bit.
Listen.
Just a little bit.
This is your backstory.
Tell me what it is, girl. You're like, I liked you once.
I was like, I'm gonna tell you your backstory. No, I didn't like you at all.
Oh, damn.
When I first met you. Because you were a little bit nasty. I said, oh no. Not today or tomorrow. Jada brought something out in me that I probably would have let lie dormant for quite some time. Contrary to popular belief, I used to be the nice one. I used to be the one to let people take advantage of me. Which is also where Jada comes into play, because she taught me how to say no. If you want something, you gotta go take it. And Jada helped me do that. Not a lot of people will ever have
the kind of outlet that I have because they're too afraid to do it. And I mean, I've been mugged in drag before, here in New York City, but you can either choose to let it stop you or you can build on it. Ooh, that's the look. I mean, when you grow up in Kansas City, Missouri, I had 3 strikes against me. I was gay, I was black, and I was a male. And it was not exactly a walk in the park every single day. But I knew there was one place I could always go to, and that was the theater.
I mean, the first thing is always the makeup, I feel like. But though, the first thing for me was, I mean, like, learning the makeup is part of it, but knowing who you are, if that makes, or who you're trying to be, like, who, like, you can't just paint your face pretty. You have to know the makeup, you have to get your clothes right, you have to be able to perform on a stage. There's that weird, like, intangible charm you have to have. You can't just stand around. There has to be a reason why someone's looking at you. You have to learn how to walk in heels, my god. But, like, the personality aspect of, like, having your character down, that is a thing that I think a lot of people overlook or don't put enough stock in. And I think the best queens have all of the technical stuff, and then on top of it, have, like, that extra something, that personality, that, like, character.
This poor woman, her short-term memory is a write-off. Did I say you're a lovely-looking woman? I was mistaken, Olive. I was. No. From this angle, you are indeed lovely. And yet... I won't use the word hideous. I won't. But we've all got a good side and a bad side, haven't we, Olive? We're not symmetrical. I've got a good side and a superb side, as a matter of fact. But you're a chameleon, Olive. Do you know what a chameleon is? It's a reptile, but it's a...
I woke up in a cow pasture outside of town. Ooh, there was a bull chasing me. I was tired, so I ran. I made it to a fence. I jumped over. There was an old farmer who said, "Hey there, lady, what's the matter? Can't you take it?" I said, "Honey, I can take it. But what would I do with a calf in a 3-room apartment?"
I'm so scared to do stand-up as Philip. That's a fear I have. Not so much in drag, but I am petrified to do stand-up as Philip. And it's funny because I act the exact same way in and out of drag, I think.
Well, welcome to the Real Deal, everyone. My name is Chaka Khanvict. Make some noise for your sexy bartenders.
Well, I don't have all my protective gear. It's a safety in the sense of, like, you know, if I get heckled, I've really only ever been heckled in drag. So I'm like, no one's ever, because I've never, you know, really performed as Philip.
You have a microphone, you need to respect what you say, because a lot of people hear you, and you know what, you might have a lot of talent, but you just disrespected a whole community, man.
Honey, it's a comedy show, stop taking it up the ass. Listen, what's your name?
The Latino community pays your bills, baby.
I wish, you know what I wish? The Latino community would pay their own fucking bills. Bitch, I'm gonna tell you this. 2 things happened just now. You think you're telling me a story? I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm a man in a wig who's done this for 18 years. I'm gonna tell you this. Yes, I have a microphone now, and I know you have a microphone tomorrow when you run in that drive-thru. What I want you to know is that if I want your bullshit, I'll drive to your motherfucking window, queen. So don't come up here and place your order with me.
the stand-up community in New York City can't handle a drag queen stand-up. I think that drag queens, as opposed to maybe always writing material and something, we can rely on audience participation and funny things like that. That's a little bit different than the regular stand-up genre. But to say that those drag performers aren't comedians is a farce.
I feel like when you're at a stand-up venue, you tend to be appreciated a little bit more by the audiences. I've learned this doing drag too. You really appreciate about who pays for you. In New York City, the shows are free, so the audience doesn't pay for them. But the bar is paying. So the bar really appreciates you because they're the ones paying for you. I did a show in Philly where the bar doesn't pay you. You make money out the door, and the audience pays. And like they were the most attentive audience I had in a long time because they all paid and we all had every intention of being there for the sole purpose of seeing the show. You know, in New York City, sometimes a show just happens to you. It's like, oh, a show happened to me. I was trying to enjoy my night out with my friends, and then a drag show happened to me, and I'm like, well, how lucky are you that a drag show happened to you?
Right now, just to let you guys know, we're filming for my RuPaul Drag Race audition tape. Season 19 is my year! Season 19 is my year! I feel it! I'm just getting on it.
I think it's interesting because we say the things that people are thinking, but they don't say. Or, I mean, could you imagine if some of the stuff I say, a really good-looking buff guy says, he's just considered a jerk then. But if the fat drag queen with big goofy hair and big bright pink lips and big old lashes says it, then that's just camp.
Season, like who's gonna win season 19? Make some noise for the lesbian in the corner. She's like, I'm not a lesbian, you don't take a finger, I know the type.
We have a lot of tourists, especially in the summertime, and it really is annoying because they don't want to hear any jokes. They just want a girl to come out there and pretend she's Whitney Houston. And, you know, that's great. That's whatever, but it seems a little dull. You got to be really smart when you're a drag comedian, who you insult and when you insult them. And you got to really have a good idea of what your audience is willing to, what they want to go for. I mean, it's definitely taken me all this time, and I'm still learning. You know, every once in a while I make a mistake, and I'm like, ooh, that queen took it the wrong way. And it's so funny because even though I know it's a joke and I know that they're kind of being an asshole, it still makes me feel bad every time.
See, I can say whatever the fuck I want to now because last time I was in the show and I was calling bitches out left and right. They're like, oh, he's such a nasty cunt. Guess what? If you had your dick tucked between your ass cheeks, you'd be a cunt too. So without any further ado, give me that microphone, hold on. I'm gonna give this back over to Miss Chaka motherfucking Khanvict.
Yes. Thank you for showing up, Joseph, you remember me from Grindr? Brother Skinner about a year ago? Right? I know that's right. No drugs, all love. No drugs. I want a little shot of penicillin. Now check it out.
I learned a lot of valuable performance skills working in a bar because you have to learn how to work with people that are not always necessarily paying attention. And you have to, that's how I developed my comedic talents. Because you're working with drunks and they're like working with autistic children. You know, it's like you have to keep their attention or they're gonna bite you at some point. Really, you gotta do something with them. And if you can wrangle these drunken fags in a room to be on your side, and you take those skills, you bring them to the mainstream, everything's a piece of cake.
You can still get it up, but you're, oh, thank you. Give it up for Lisette, ladies and gentlemen. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Is this your first drag show? No, alright, good. Not that I'm a drag. Okay. Now, so ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I'm the nice one. Push it. Alright, listen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a brand new parody. Tonight is the premiere. I've never done it before. I've just wrote it, been working on it. It's a parody of Ariana Grande's song, Break Free. Do you all know that song? Hello? Okay. Stay with me. Stay with me. I know it's not YouTube. It's a real show.
If the audience clicks and they're laughing and applauding and listening, because these days that's such a hard feat. If they're looking at you and not their phone and they're responding and they're listening, then
that's fun to leave the stage. Like, I don't even care about the money. This is just like, this is why I do what I do.
I feel like people don't, the biggest problem that it's tougher, I feel like people don't know how to be audience members anymore. Not just tipping, but like really knowing how to, like, just, there's a politeness that goes in, there's a give and take with energy that goes in, somebody's doing something on stage, pay attention, you know, like don't try to talk over the music that's on the stage, you know, things like that. And just kind of knowing how that there's an energy coming at you and then you're supposed to give energy back. If you like what you see, clap or laugh, or if you don't like it, whatever, you know. And I think that there's a lot of people that just, there's people that are texting, there's people that are talking. I think back in the day, people had an appreciation for live music, so they knew how to engage with the performer on stage, you know, and I think that doesn't really happen as much anymore. You know, people used to play live music in New York City nightclubs before there was like CDs and things like that.
People don't take it, don't give it credit for it being a legitimate art form. They can kind of dismiss it as though it's some frivolous, silly man in a dress. And where there are drag queens that are so talented and they just don't really get the recognition or respect that they deserve for being, you know, a talented performer. A real, like, artist.
Well, because you are a man. I mean, you do dress like a man, right? Sometimes. I mean, you didn't come to Pittsburgh on the plane looking like that, honey. Come on.
No, I was a little bit more conservatively dressed, I must admit.
Yeah.
You know, a nice flying outfit, slacks and a top.
Did anybody know that, I mean...
Well, the poor fellow who was coming to pick me up said, oh, I must have the wrong name. He looked at the name he was holding up. I said, oh, no, that's me. I'm just incognito right now. I can do a reasonably good impersonation of a man if I have to. You know, like to go to the gym or something.
Yeah.
To go to the men's room, things like that.
Okay, now let me get heavy for a second now, seriously.
All right.
You just mentioned children, and there are probably a few out there watching today, and we'll no doubt get some phone calls and some letters, etc., etc. My personal opinion of this whole thing is that it's an act. It doesn't threaten me. I don't think it threatens anyone here in the audience. It's kind of funny. It's something you look at, you laugh, and go, boy, now isn't that guy different? But how do kids look at you? And what kind of example are you setting? And do you worry about being an example? You know, we asked Danny Marino a minute ago. I mean, what does he think about as being an example for kids? It's important to him. Is it to you? Do you ever consider it?
Oh, yes, certainly, and I like to think that I've just set a positive example to let children know if they want to be drag queens, it's a perfectly all right thing to be, and they shouldn't feel, you know, embarrassed to want to be something like that, because it's what I've always wanted to be all my life, and you can have anything you want in life.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today because last Tuesday, the Community Board of Liquor Authority met, because Boots and Saddles is trying to move to a different location in the village, ladies and gentlemen. We understand that we have to follow certain laws and rules, and we have absolutely no problem with that. What we do have a problem with is the gross display of bigotry from other community members in the village. Just some of the comments that were made by other community members where we think you need to find a space, but unfortunately we just don't think it's here. Here is where we started. This is where the gay rights movement started. And you're trying to push us out? Forget about it. I've been a drag queen for about 5 years. I have a beautiful, beautiful niece. Her name is Sophia. And I love Sophia with all my heart. There's not anything I wouldn't do for that little girl. I would do anything for her. And when I read that article, I thought to myself, Sophia has seen me paint my face before. She's even helped me put on my eyelashes before. And for Lois saying, what about the children? What happens if a child sees a drag queen? It really struck me. Because Sophia has seen me be a drag queen. And it made me think that she's trying to say that there's something wrong with me. That there's something wrong with my beautiful niece. And there's nothing wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with Sophia.
To me, this appearance has always been a very double-edged sword because people are quick to judge. And a lot of people will look at you and decide immediately that you're crazy or that you're weird or, you know, they just don't trust you or they don't like what they see. And other people will look at you and they'll be, oh my God, you're amazing, you're gorgeous, you're fabulous, can I have a picture? What are you doing? They want to know things. And over the years that I've been doing this, I've learned that people's reactions to me says a lot more about them than it does about me. especially when you see children who are afraid and fearful. If you look at their parents' face, they usually have a look of disgust and they're pushing their child behind them saying, don't look at that, don't approach that, it's wrong, it's scary. But if you look at little kids who are smiling and they're, they think you look pretty and the sparkly and they want to know, are you a boy or a girl? Or their parents are smiling and they're encouraging their child to engage. And that's to me is a good parent. Someone who teaches their child not to be afraid, to open their arms and their minds to people who look different, and just realize that everyone's different and it's all okay and it's all good.
We are breaking down gender rules, not just gender roles, but like gender rules that are in a rule book that no one has actually written but is expected from everyone. Drag queens are notorious for breaking down barriers in society that are unjust and hold people back.
They're famous for their creativity and wit, but San Francisco drag queens today said they are dead serious about their dispute with Facebook.
There is something targeting drag queens, performers, people who are transgender. Somebody is reporting us and they're wiping us out of existence.
Heklina says Facebook has recently begun locking the accounts of LGBT people worldwide who use an alias or stage name, telling them that they can only regain access by posting their legal name. Facebook policy requires users' real names as listed on Legal ID, though Facebook rarely confirms that information with users. The company says it helps keep the online community safe.
This is really creating an unsafe environment for transgender people, bullied youth who need to keep their true identity hidden.
They put names on that aren't their names so that they won't be outed at school or in their workplace.
A Facebook spokesman late today told KTVU about 200 LGBT people worldwide using aliases had been reported on by other users. The company said it would at least temporarily reactivate those profiles.
Ultimately, I think that I would boycott Facebook and go off of Facebook rather than being told how to identify myself.
I thought, oh, they're probably just trying to confirm my identity, or I figured they probably already know my name. I couldn't believe they didn't. So I just entered Michael Williams, and my profile popped up with this face and all of my pictures in my timeline with my legal name on it. And I said, well, this isn't Michael's profile. Really, nobody knows Michael. I don't care if people know my legal name. I'm not hiding from anyone. I'm not going to lose my job. I'm obviously very out. But this is Roma. I am Roma. I have been Sister Roma for 30 years. This is my identity. So I was frustrated with that. So I did what everybody does, and I went to Twitter. And I said, tell Facebook that their real name policy is unfair and discriminatory, and I used the hashtag #MyNameIsRoma. And that fucking blew up. It was insane.
There has been some controversy at Facebook. Have you heard about this? They had a policy that if you wanted a Facebook page, you had to use your real name. And this is true, and people were upset about this, and this is true also. The people who were the most upset were drag queens. And I'm happy to...
And the way that they took it was the drag queens versus Facebook, because that's really good clickbait. If anybody sees this title like that, they're going to be like, what's this? And then they put your face up there and they're like, oh my God, what's, So it was a very hot topic and it spread really quickly. But as soon as I started that fight, I realized quickly that it was not just a bunch of drag queens bitching about having our stage names, because I got emails from people all over the world telling me that they use names on Facebook for different reasons that are not their legal names. And then I realized there are millions of people who have authentic identities that cannot be proven with a piece of paper or a government ID. A bunch of us got together and we were like, we're gonna have a protest. We got buses, we got bullhorns, we got signs, we had a whole thing ready to go. And then Facebook called me.
Drag queens have their Facebook accounts back, for now at least. They faced off with the social network at San Francisco City Hall yesterday. The meeting came after hundreds of them had their accounts deactivated. Facebook says it's cleaning up and enforcing a real name policy to make things safer. The meeting lasted an hour, but they didn't make it a final deal. Drag queens still are not pleased.
But now it's really humiliating because I have been Heklina for 20 years and I have Facebook telling me Heklina does not exist. So they're basically wiping you out of existence.
Facebook says it's going to give people 2 weeks to fix their profiles. They can confirm their name, change it to their real name, or convert their profile to a page.
And the fake name reporting tool is the only option that punishes identity and not behavior. Like people who are doing nothing wrong except to exercise the right to self-identify are being maliciously reported, and Facebook is suspending their accounts. So we're like, just take off that reporting option. You don't need it. It's obsolete. Every way to report bad behavior is already in place on Facebook. And they refused to do that. So we did hold a protest with that Facebook campus on June 1st. We took 2 busloads of people out there and made some noise, and we're continuing to fight them on this policy.
I am kind of technically getting free advertising, but the amount of traffic I'm generating to Facebook, I mean, am I a huge Facebook? No, but I have reached the friend limit, and I have like about 1,000 people who follow me. So my reach is about 6,000 people. So if I post a status update or a picture, potentially 6,000 people will see it. But they want you to get a like page instead. On a like page, your numbers drop drastically. Like you have to pay to get to 6,000 people, like a lot of money. Which is why Lady Gaga gets to be Lady Gaga, because she has a like page and she can afford to pay that kind of money.
I mean, it's all about social media, which is unfortunate for me because I have no goddamn clue how to use it. I don't know how to use the computer. If I knew how, I would love to have a YouTube channel. Do you know how much those girls make? It's a ridiculous amount of money. A very good friend of mine just passed, Madison, and she had an amazing YouTube channel. She was so innovative with makeup and so smart and so talented. And it's really a sad tragedy that she's no longer with us. She was making amazing money on her YouTube channel.
My name is Claudia Lake. Some of you on the internet know me as C-Maddox. Bitch. I'm here to let my pups, friends, and family who I haven't spoken to know that I do have skin cancer. Thank you guys for all your support, your love, your encouraging words.
It's tough, you know? I mean, Madison died at such a young age, and it was so upsetting, and it was such a rare, you know, a disease that she had that you just can't help. It's one thing when your friends die of something that they could have prevented. And I hate, you know, I sound kind of cold, but maybe that's that New York mentality. But when someone dies of an overdose, you know, you can call it a disease. Is it? I don't know if I'm the judge of that. But when someone dies and it's just, you just can't, there's nothing you can do, you know, it's horrible. And it is nice to see that the community really gelled together over that particular loss. And I think about her every day, actually, to tell you the truth. Motherfucker. Doesn't help that my hands are like filthy.
Yeah, you should put that back in the solution and go wash your hands.
I just did.
Before you wind up with an eye infection.
Won't be the first one of those. It can't be that hard.
Well, cum is different.
Right?
Makeup is...
I had an old friend once that got it. What did she have?
Okay, now take it. Wait. Take it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over. Pinch and flip it over.
No. Put that on there. So what should it be, curved up?
Yes, it should be curved up so that way it'll be easier.
All right.
This is some shit. Open your eye all the way and slide it in.
It's a lot softer than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like a hard, like piece of glass. All right, let's try one more time and then I'm going to give up.
No two drag queens are the same. Even the most like prestigious dance queens, no two queens are the same. We all bring something different to the table. We're like snowflakes. Like what you bring is going to be completely different from what I bring. So you can't be focused on the other girl. Focus on what you know to do best. Some girls give looks. Some girls kick. Some girls split. Some girls are funny. Some sing live. Yes, there are a lot of different types of drag queens. The names of said drag queens can either be complimentary in some arenas and insulting in others. They're like if you watch Drag Race,
they'll call a girl like a bar queen, as if it's a bad thing. When I know for a fact that more bar queens make more money than any other queens out there, simply based on tips alone. And then there's like show queens, which are like, you know, your Broadway bitches. You know, there are different kinds. I think it's mostly based on like what their sensibilities are, like, and what their interests are as far as like entertainment goes. I personally don't think that you should subscribe to labels. At least for me, I don't care for labels. I think it limits you and I think it pigeonholes you. And I think that you should always keep your options open if you want to continue making money doing this. Have a brand. Definitely be a brand. Market yourself and your name in a way that is recognizable and only indicative to you, but you don't want to like typecast yourself. You know what I mean?
I think drag is every day, honey. You see these girls pumping it on Fifth Avenue, going into the shops, feeling cute in 5-inch heels. Nobody wants to shop in 5-inch heels. That's their drag. You know, you see guys that spend 4 hours in the gym, then they go tanning, then they find a child's small shirt to wear out to a nightclub. That's their drag. My drag's just a lot more colorful. So what drag is, I guess, would be an outward expression of internal feeling.
The difference to me between the queens then and the queens now is how polished they are. They like pop out and they just look really good. Like they've all stepped up their game. And also the acceptance of drag. It's become so cool and hip and people love it. So young people starting out there's tutorials online that you can learn how to do everything from top to bottom and carve it in and just pop it out and glue it on, and anything you want to know how to do about drag, it's online. And these young kids start out and they look so good.
I mean, I'm happy that I know what life was like before this insanity. Now I sound like someone who, when they invented the telephone, oh, that's never going to work. That telephone is a fad. No, but at least I know what it was like to be in New York City when it was quiet. Really, when everyone wasn't always looking at the phone, they were just looking over their shoulders. Like, if I was going on a date with you, I'd be like, oh, you're so cute. But I'd be looking over going, but now I don't even have to look up. I can look at my phone and speak with you and no one cares. It's exhausting now. It's exhausting. Trying to pretend you're somebody on the web, constantly posting happy pictures of yourself. Don't you think it's exhausting? Always having to be on. That's the thing now that's changed. You always have to be on, constantly.
You were my one companion. You were all that mattered. You were a friend.
Many times I drove home just because it was easier to go home and take the makeup off and stuff. One night I had a detective attack me he offered to escort me to my car, and this Detroit detective in plain clothes attacked me, tried to sexually molest me, take my skirt, tried to get my skirt up, pull my pantyhose down and get at my privates, and then wanted me he had all kinds of very sick fantasies. And the only way I got away from him was I was in my car and I had the steering wheel in my hands, and I took my high heels and I jammed them into his chest. And they would have punctured him if he hadn't been wearing a trench coat. And he was knocked over backward, and he pulled his gun. He started to pull his gun, and I floored it. So I'm driving with one leg hanging out the door's open, my skirt's up to here, pantyhose are just about down, and there's nothing else on, okay? And all I can remember was how beautiful those shoes were. Mafia run and owned homosexual bars, usually in dark back alleys with back alley entrances. It was illegal. And if we were in drag, we had to have, and got caught, you'd better be wearing male underwear. If you were wearing a gaff or G-string or any female, you went to jail. And that was the main rule about the law. We weren't supposed to do it at all. But if you could get away with it in court if you'd not been wearing female underwear. I became an employee of one of the largest mafia clubs. And that got me a lot of privileges, a lot of exposure and safety, because they hired motorcycle gangs to take care of us and protect us, and they'd be security out back. They'd check your IDs coming in. That was almost at every club I was ever a part of. You couldn't tell anyone you were doing drag. You'd lose your job. As a matter of fact, I lost a job because one of the employees, assistant to my boss, was in the audience of that very first show I did, and I lost my job the next day. And that was kind of not unusual for the kids, for the guys who did drag. You really had to keep it quiet. One night I came out of drag, I was in drag to drive home, and I didn't ask anybody to escort me to my car. When I get outside, there's a guy laying on the ground with a bullet hole in him, and he's in pain, and he's bleeding, and he says, "Can you help, would you help me?" And I hoist him onto my shoulders. I had a gorgeous outfit on, okay, spikes like that, and threw him in my car, and I raced him over the emergency room. But I put him out on the front of the hospital, of the emergency room doors. I couldn't go in, especially in drag.
But just once in a while, I would run into this lunatic who would actually have in his mind that I was a woman. And I mean, I'd tell them I was a boy, and they just wouldn't believe it until they seen everything down my pants and everything. Another day, another illusion. I'm telling you, every time they pick you up for something like loitering, with the intent to prostitute or something like that most of the time, because a smart prostitute never goes out in the car and names a price. They always treat me like I'm the world's murderer.
It was crazy. I mean, I hate to say, you could probably do anything you wanted. I loved it when I first got here. It was one of those places that I felt like you literally do something, meet a different person every single day for the rest of your life. There was so much to discover, and I was, still exploring the city. So I think New York was probably the same to me as it is to any young person coming to the city like today. But I mean, I saw like you could, whatever you wanted to do, you could pretty much do it as long as you didn't think you were going to get caught, which just meant as long as somebody's standing there and nobody's standing there, you're good to go. So it was drugs, it was sex, it was, even I'm a really pretty tame person. Honestly, I don't drink or do anything crazy. And I hosted a party, this was even a little bit later on, which was only 10 years ago, called Rated X the Panty Party, which was a weekly party that was kind of on the flip side of a really popular gay party at a place called Opaline that was called Area 1009. Anyway, so I hosted the hot body contest at this party, and it was not an underwear contest. It was basically, you started in your underwear, and it was always naked, and there was always sex acts going on stage. People were doing things with stuff that wasn't even body parts. Bottles, beer bottles, whatever they could find to win that $100 cash. It was like prostitution. I'm just thinking of that. It's like live prostitution or something.
Trying to make this damn money. Alright. Goddamn dollar money. Alright. I done made my money, honey. I do not. Yes, you did. I need some lipstick.
I look absolutely terrible. Do I have my shoes? I got my shoes. I don't have any lipstick on, Nelson. My hair is a mess. I've let these men touch all over me for the money. I'm trying to pay my rent. I'm trying to get a new apartment. And I let all these men touch me. Just because I wanted the money. Isn't that terrible? What else is there? What am I going to do? I'm in show business, you know?
You gotta live, bro.
I gotta live, right?
You have to
Oh,
let
there's
men
these drink
touch you.
tickets. I didn't even get these. Well, I had a lot of drinks, and I said to myself, I said, you know, what do you want? These guys, they look at you, they want to touch you. Charge them for it, damn it. What's the damn wrong with that, huh? So I just said, oh, my mat. I didn't bring my mat back down, but they'll bring it down. We have to dance on these mats now because they just did the new bar. They've touched it up, made it new.
It might be on the other side.
I looked over there. They didn't have them over there. It does look delicious. Different from the water I have at my house.
What kind of water do you have here?
Brown.
Out of the tap? Out of the tap?
What am I going to get? I'm going to get a soda. I'm going to get a Coca-Cola.
What did you get?
Oh, you are hungry, aren't you? All right.
Where are they?
They went to go get cigarettes at Dwayne Reed's, so we have to wait.
Oh.
No, girl, I had a protein shake.
That's it? That's what you have?
Yeah, girl, I'm trying to feature skinny body. I'm not trying to eat too much these days.
Like cold
Because
and my name.
despite the snow, spring is right around the corner, and I'm trying to have a big fat ass in a tiny waist. That's what I'm trying to do. We're going to get her a booty bumper.
A booty bumper?
Yeah.
I know, it sounds like drugs.
You know what? You're so disgusting. You're so... No.
Is it like a foam thing?
Yeah, it's like for her butt, so that her small Russian body can look more voluptuous.
Oh,
So therefore, in my mind and in my presence, I feel that I'm as much a woman as a man, depending on which personality.
As a woman?
Thrilled.
No, happier, she said.
Happier, though. Happier than when you're a man?
Well, the two are not in conflict.
Okay.
So there's no...
And there's no thinking on your part of becoming a transsexual, of having surgery and changing your entire life?
Well, I've considered it, but I don't think it's viable for me personally. I'm very happy as I am. I enjoy, my physical body as it is, and I enjoy my strength and working out. And
Are you gay, Doris?
Yes, I am. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. No, I'm not a lesbian.
You're not... are all transvestites gay?
No, actually, transvestites usually are somewhere in between. A lot of transvestites are heterosexual, and it's a clothing fetish.
Okay.
Some men, as you probably know, swap their women's clothes around with their wives and things like this, and it's not that unusual. But a lot of drag queens are generally homosexuals.
As I probably know.
I've just observed you sort of feel a little uncomfortable. Let's talk about how you react to Doris.
I'm sorry, am I a little uncomfortable?
No. She was saying that I look a little uncomfortable. Well, I mean, actually, I'm sort of torn between warming up to her and backing away from. I would assume that my reaction is fairly typical.
It is fairly typical, yes. I think, well, especially for heterosexual men. And are you?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Thanks for asking.
I don't like to presume upon people's sexuality, but heterosexual men, of course, if they're not attracted to me, will be naturally hesitant about something because it's like you're getting two messages at once.
I mean, I try to be educational because I get a lot of questions all the time, like, how are you straight and you do drag, or
why did you choose to do it? Or like, how are you comfortable doing it? And I always get that, and I always kind of try to educate people that it's not so much about sexuality, it's more about art. I mean, if you look back in the Shakespeare days, men played all the parts. So essentially, we're just taking it back, but taking it to another level. And it's just an art form. I mean, there are drag queens that consider themselves drag queens, but they don't dress like women. They have styles and looks where it's more like a club kid style, but it's still considered drag. So the impact that I hope to have is that if you're a straight man that wants to try drag, just do it. I mean, you'll notice that even if you're not accepted for it at first, eventually, if you do it enough, people will realize that it's who you are and it's there to stay. And you'll notice that the more you do it, the more confident you're going to feel about yourself. It goes well until I kind of mention it, and then they kind of like, okay, hold on a second. Like, it kind of deters them a little bit. Like, they don't, I don't know how exactly they perceive it, because they don't want to, I guess they don't know how they perceive it, or they're not comfortable enough telling me that they're not comfortable with it. Basically, long story short, I wind up being friends, and it never really passes the friend stage. Like, we'll go out on a date or two, and then we're friends. It was like, well, we're better off as friends. And it's like, honestly, if that's what I have to live with, then that's what I'm willing to live with. I mean, drag is something I've chosen to do either, for fun, or to get a message across, or to impact, society some way, shape, or form. Then I can't tell people to be who you are and then not be who I am and what I want to be, because I'm afraid of an outcome of something else. I feel like for myself, that would be kind of hypocritical. So, I mean, I can't, tell all these young gay men who want to be drag queens and they're too afraid to do it, to just go ahead and do it. But at the same time, I'm not going to do it because no one will date me. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I have to lead by the example I'm trying to set. So if she doesn't want to go out with me or date me because I do drag, well, I'm sorry, then you're not the one.
So I actually do affirmations every time I go to work, and I'm just like, I will be thankful for everyone that shows up. I'll be thankful for every laugh I get. Super grateful for everybody that buys a Jell-O shot. I will not complain even when they don't tip me, which happens a hell of a lot. I will be cordial and pleasant to everyone I see. And I will be thankful to my employer, honey. See that? See? That never happens to me, except for when there's someone else around. But that's crazy, right?
Have you ever had anybody who's just wanted to flat haul back and cold cock you? I mean,
not cold cock.
Well, pardon my choice of words, but to
punch you out.
I was going to say let you out, but that doesn't work.
Well, actually, no. I have suffered some violence and abuse. Yes.
Have you?
Not too much recently, because now as I've become more professional, I'm not actually out on the street too often. Going to bars and things and out and about. But yes, in the past things have happened like that.
Once I have the support of another girl with me, I will go anywhere in drag. I'm getting better about going out, just like.
But it's also you have to keep your wits about you. You can't just be willy-nilly bullshitting around town.
No, I keep my eyes open on the subway because I know people are looking, and I always have that when does looking translate over into stepping up to me and saying something, or getting physical? I've never been attacked.
Yeah.
That better not be a joke. I'm fucking hot. Don't want Hi.
So do you deal with that on a daily basis?
What?
Do you deal with cops like that on a daily basis?
Honestly, people, usually when they say oh, you're looking hot, they mean it. Usually it's someone, I rarely get the sarcastic ones. If someone says something, it's usually oh girl, you look good. Or I'll get a dirty look, but they don't want to say anything. But something like sarcastic like that, I don't usually get. I'm like, fuck you, I look great.
I've been threatened with violence just as a gay man.
Yeah, I feel almost more vulnerable like that than in drag in a way, because like, well, that's a lie, but like partly I feel like I feel like the masculine like patriarchy is like treating me as two different things. Like at least when I'm in a feminine, like, and in drag, at least it's like they see something they can get out of you, so they are not gonna like. They might be rude to you, sure, but they're not gonna like attack you necessarily.
That's the thing. Like I definitely have felt, as much as I'm so with you that I think I feel more vulnerable out of drag, or in drag rather. But more shit has happened to me out of drag.
Yeah.
Like no one's actually stepped to me in any way that I felt was super threatening while I've been in my lady clothes.
You can always tell what a person is like, what their spirit is like by how they deal with eccentric characters. If someone looks at me and they respond with joy and they're happy, that's probably how they respond to most things in life. You know what I mean? If they respond to me in a tentative way, they're not exactly sure, but they're not negative. That's probably how they treat things in their life. They're just, ease slow. And if they're negative and they're hateful, then that's how they are as a human being. And yeah, I know how to defuse a bomb. That's one thing you learn by working in bars. You learn how to defuse a bomb, because there are people who really, really get out of hand, and you have to learn how to calm them down without anything happening.
I want to make sure you get this on camera. I'm going to tell you the reason why you don't interrupt my show when I'm talking, all right? What's your name? Mr. Perez. Mr. Perez. My name is Bob the Director. No, I hold the microphone. I don't come to your job and harass you. Now you can't, no, follow me, bitch. We got a job to do, Michael. Bring your ass right here. Now you came to my show. You think it is appropriate for you to scream to me, where is Shangela? Don't kiss my hands. I don't know where you've been this past weekend until you know. But I also didn't come to your show and harass you. Now let me tell you a little secret about life. This might be your first time at the rodeo, but I do this all the time, baby, all right? So the way the night will go like this. Either you will behave yourself and the audience will love you. They're like, oh, we love him. He's a reformed sinner. Or you will keep harassing me, and out of nowhere, a big black man will tap you on the shoulder and escort you out of the building. Even bigger and even blacker than me. Are you okay? I think she's learned good. Thank you. And we can all continue on with our show today. And that is how you handle a heckler, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. Puerto Rican Day Parade, girl.
Well, like I said, like high school was really bad. I was gay bashed 3 times, like growing up. Once in high school, like I was raped in high school. Like there was like a lot of shit, and like that was just like holding me back. And then eventually, you just kind of gotta let it go. I'm 31 years old. Like, I can't be upset about shit that when I was 15 for the rest of my life. Like, that's kind of pathetic. At some point, you kind of just have to choose to be happy. Do I want a petticoat, or is that too dated? That's too dated, right? Do I want to wear a petticoat, or is it going to be... That's going to be like uber saloon.
You should just have you on these day beds fucking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this cute? Yeah. I like it. Yay. I spent the last 8 months homeless. Like, a lot of people don't know that. And it's been really, really hard. And it's something that I might speak publicly about, because it was really hard. It's humiliating as fuck, because, I'm one of the luckiest queens in New York to be in a position that I'm in, being able to work. We're both so hot. It's gonna be perfect.
See? Fucking major, right? She's so ridiculous. Ah! She's so big.
But you get distracted. And people aren't always what they seem to be. They'll make promises that they don't live up to. And they won't care if you fall flat on your face or fall flat into a gutter. And it's unfortunate, but it's the reality we live in. My dad is awesome. My dad's fantastic. I don't really talk to my mom anymore. I just don't. I don't talk to my sister either. That's kind of the reason why I don't really talk to them. They don't really care about me at all. They'll pretend to save face because they don't want the rest of the family to like judge them. But I remember right after college, I asked my mom for some help. I don't even remember what it was like referring to. But all I remember was her response. Your dad got you, I got your sister. Okay. Cool. My mother, there was no dramatic big explosion ending, nothing like that. I just blocked her phone number, erased her on Facebook, and I just refused to speak to her anymore. She's a negative force in my life, and I won't have negativity in it. I'm doing too well. I'm too happy to let someone irrelevant to me take that away. Why give her that power?
That's good. Actually, grinning was good. Look at him.
As far as idols go, of course, Beyonce. My mother. Talk about a strong black single woman who raised an 8-year-old by herself. That's saying something. And she got through all 26 years. Hopefully we'll be going on to 27, God willing, of raising me. And she's now confident enough to be like, you got this. And if you need help, you know where to find me. That's the relationship I have with my mom. There were days, way back when, I was homeless for 2 days. And that woman called me every single day to make sure. I was like, she offered to send me money. I was like, well, you can't send me money because I don't have any, I'm not staying anywhere. On the 72nd Street park bench for 2 days until my mom could gather up enough money to get me home. I was like, well, I'm gonna go back home, reboot. That's when I moved back home to choreograph Cats and did a production of Chicago and directed a production of For Colored Girls Who've Considered Suicide When the Rainbow Is Enough. And I also did 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which was a fun show. And it was at that point when I was wrapping up these shows, I got a call from a company that I had worked with before, asking me to come to their other location and do the same show that I did at their other location. So I packed up my stuff and I went to Florida. I did the show. My mom came to visit. God, it's like every time my mom visits, there's something going on at home. So she visited this time and she goes, We lost the house. My closing night party at Rent. She flies out, have a good time. She's like, we lost the house. So here I am at my closing party. Like, okay, what are we gonna do? What's our next move? I finish out the contract. I go home. I pack up all my stuff. And we didn't have the house for that long. I thought this is where she was gonna be. That was it. I painted the room because I always wanted a blue room. We went paint shopping. I bought paint, like specific blue paint. I painted my room. I was like, yes, I finally have a blue room. She comes to Florida and tells me we lost the house. I was like, is it ever gonna get easier for us? Just once I would like for something to work out. Get home, I pack, I get ready, at that point I look at her and I go, I'm going back to New York. And when I do, I'm not coming back. And she's like, I won't be able to help you get back this time. I was like, you don't have to worry about it, because I'm not coming back. And she loves telling the story too, because literally, I haven't been back except to visit. And that was over 3 or 4 years ago. Proud of myself.
We had a weird interaction, my father and I, over Christmas, and I was just like, this is just never, like, I just am so different than those people. I just said something to the effect of like, hey, I'm thinking about you. You know, I thanked him for something that he taught me when I was a little kid. And then instead of just being like, all right, yeah, thanks, Merry Christmas. Like, I remember that too, that was fun. He was just like, I taught you more than that. I taught you how to do this and that. And your bitch mother kept me away from you. And I'm just like, really, dude, we're back here again. 29 years old. Like, my mom didn't keep me away from you. You didn't pay child support. Like, I still got the court papers. So instead of saying all that, I was just like, okay, Merry Christmas. And then I just peaced. So I'm not super interested in he's got something going on with him. My father saw something like online before. And the few times we've communicated, I've been like, oh, I have to go to work. And he's like, do I want to know what that is? And I'm like, well, actually, I'm doing makeup. Or sometimes I'm like, yeah, I have a show. But then he doesn't really comment on it. I don't think honestly, I just don't even think that he has the wherewithal I just don't think he's even there to even know like that there's this huge drag, this huge drag world out there. It's just so far from what they're doing. But I email his girlfriend every now and again. I'm just like, hey, is he alive? She's like, yeah. I'm assuming that, I feel like they just sit in the house, sip their coffee. I mean, he's retired. He worked his ass off for like 40 years. I think it would be exciting to have a little drag queen son. There you go. So yeah, my dad, I'd like to have a conversation with him, but the reality is it's like, will anything good come of it? Will anything positive happen from it? And I don't know, will it be worth it, Like, will there ever be a real resolution? Sometimes it's hard for old people to admit what happened. I think sometimes, I hate to sound like so horrible when it comes to this, but sometimes they're just your parents. There's people that gave you life. No one ever hit me that hard. No one sexually abused me. It was just an okay childhood. Okay, I'm an adult now, so is he. So we just kind of separated, went apart, no biggie. Maybe see you in the next life. I'm sure they'll still be in that, it is what it is. But none of it's because of drag. I mean, that's the interesting thing. Like, I just grew up in extremely, like, just grew up in just kind of like a rough way. And they're like, you know, a little poor. They just didn't really like want to go anywhere. And not all of my family, but a lot of them. So I just had to make a decision like, all right, I got to go do this for me. And then, you know, I think that sometimes that's intimidating. And I think sometimes that they don't know kind of how to handle me or if I'm, you know, whatever. So it just makes it weird between us.
For a while, I mistook what work relationships and friendships were and what real friendships were. I mean, I know the definition and I've known for a while what acquaintance and friend is, but for some reason that was so blurred in the community because you see these people every night on a daily basis, you say hello, you engage in conversation, but you don't know anything about them, you barely know their legal name. I was mistaking that for friends, and a lot of them, in my definition of friends, hurt me because they weren't really there. They weren't really friends, and they would go back behind my back and talk tons of gossip and tons of negativity behind my back, and I just realized very quickly that I have to kind of stand my ground and be by myself and be independent, and then I'll slowly accept people back into my little circle of my friends and friendships in life because I didn't know who the good seeds were and who the bad seeds were. I slowly started to develop that more, but even now, when I left drag completely, I really got to see who my friends were and who my work friendships were. Because there were these people who I've helped them or hired them, and they've made thousands and thousands of dollars a year doing shows that, you know, that I've helped them get or that I've hired them for, and they engage in conversation, and it was like a friendship or so I thought, and immediately when I moved, they're nowhere to be found. So I was thinking about every opportunity I could find to get out, and I couldn't figure it out. Couldn't think. I remember crying to my mom several times on the phone going, I just need you to tell me what to do. Because I was tired of myself doing everything and making every decision for myself. Since I was 18, I was always on my own, and I just needed someone, even if it wasn't her, I needed someone to tell me what direction to go in, because I was incredibly lost. It was discomforting, it was emotional, it was like scary, and I became more and more unhappy, and I started slowly dying inside. I put it out there, I just said, looking back on it now, I probably was a really not so cheery person behind closed doors to certain people, because they're like, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I just hate this. I hate this. I hate this. And I really don't think it had to do with putting on the drag and doing the shows. It was what came with it. So I kept saying, oh, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. And I kept spewing all this hatred and negativity and discomfort in what I did, that I think eventually, by speaking it just, things fell into place. I remember a specific event where I went on a date with a guy. I had to open the next magazine and look at the whole 2-page map of New York and where the bars and the clubs are, and select which ones do not know me out of drag, so I can go and have privacy and not be outed as a drag queen before I could tell the person that I was a drag queen. And there was 2 on the island of Manhattan. There was 2, and that's when I realized this is getting too much. And then I would sign on to, you know, some of the sites to go and hook up, and there would always be some people who knew me. So when that started to happen, I realized that my privacy is now gone, or slowly going away, and I have to do something about it. I never brought up what I did for work, ever. Which is funny because in Los Angeles, people don't care. They don't care at all. They're like, oh, you do drag? Cool. Or they'll date drag queens and it's fine. But in New York, there's such a stigma. Maybe now with Drag Race being at its height, it's slowly dissipating and dissolving, but it was very, very tough. So I wouldn't even bring up in a conversation what the guy did for work, because then the next question would be like, what do you do for work? So I would say I'm a performer, or I'm in Nightlife, and then eventually they ask questions later, and I'd say I'll tell you when the time comes. And they would start thinking in their head that, okay, I'm either an escort or a porn star or a go-go boy or a drag queen. But you didn't have a dating life because you're always working at night, and I would start my transitional phase of getting into Dallas at like 8:30, and that's when a dinner date would be. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that they a lot of the people that I know, or my friends and my acquaintances and my club friends, they take it to an extreme, and they live their life the same way, just without a wig, as a boy. I try to take this, as very two separate people, and really designate and differentiate the difference. But these other people were combining them, and that was preventing them from finding a relationship. I can think of 3 people in all of the Nightlife that I've worked with here that have a boyfriend, that are performers. I had a great time. I had to say, I wouldn't be where I am in LA if it wasn't for drag. I would never have met the connections that got me there. I would never have had some of my friends that are my best friends now. I would never have been able to travel, not the world, but I traveled abroad many times to perform. And, I would never have even probably been to London, or I would never have been to overseas if it hadn't been for Dallas. And there's so many gifts I got from this. It's just, I had this love, not even hate anymore, but I did have a love-hate relationship with it. And I auditioned for Drag Race 4 times, and the third time, season 5, like the Alyssa Edwards season, that whole season, I didn't make it. I got top 20, and they called me and they said that there was 14 in the cast. One of them was an audience favorite, so there was 13 that they took. They said that 7 that wasn't taken, which was me. Like, they called me up on Memorial Day. I thought I got it, and they're like, no, you don't have it, but don't tell anyone you're auditioning for the following season, because most likely you're going to be on it because you made top 7, the remaining 7, top 20. So I was so excited, blah, 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 and this is what I was relying on. And then they changed the casting season 6, and they didn't tell me. I was tired of giving the same answers 4 years in a row for these auditions, and so I just said what happened to me in the interim between 1 year and another year, because I thought they've known me by now. 4 years, they don't want to see the same thing, hear the same stuff. So I just did it my own way, and they changed the casting, and it kind of looked like I was half-assing it, or I wasn't listening to the questions, or following directions, and then they never called me.
The time has come for you to lip sync for your life. Good luck, and don't it up.
I understand it, but it's also shocking at the same time. I'll be traveling, doing a gig somewhere, some regular city, and if I'm performing with a group of other drag queens, a good 70% of the drag queens will be super sweet, nice as all get out, be wanting to take pictures and just hang out. Doesn't even need taking pictures, but just chit chat about life, just be down to earth. And the other 30% will be standoffish. They won't even hardly talk to me. I will have to really force myself to not force myself, but really try and engage them in conversation, because they don't want to have anything to do with me. They just don't want to talk to me. They're giving me dirty looks. And I've heard that from other queens from Drag Race, where there's a lot of queens out there that'll be jealous and bitter that they didn't get on the past couple times they've tried to audition, and it's a jealousy thing. And it sucks, because a fun thing for me when I travel and perform is getting to meet all the local queens and just making new friends. And it's hard for me to be in a dressing room where there's a couple queens in there that are giving me dirty looks, and they just resent me being there, and they think that I'm stealing their money, and not stealing their money, but being on Drag Race, you do make more money than a regular queen would at a regular show. I grew up doing drag, doing shows for $30 a night, once a week, and you're not making any money that way. So I understand how hard it is, but in all reality, the clubs that hire us, it doesn't matter if you're a good or bad performer, they're bringing in a TV personality to bring in customers. That's why we make more money, not because we're better performers or we do things better than the locals do. It's because we're just bringing in people.
Ivy Winters.
I love this outfit. I'm a big Victor Victoria fan, so I think that this is great.
You make everything that you wear.
I do, yeah.
You're mind-blowingly talented.
Thank you.
And your Lady Bunny was so much fun.
If anything, your Lady Bunny was maybe a little too skinny and too pretty.
That's a read.
Ever since the show, I've noticed it's like a baby boom. It's like the baby boom, except for drag queens. There's thousands of more drag queens out there because you were put in the limelight. People are getting to know what we do and why we do it and why it's fun and how entertaining it is and how we can be in the spotlight and get attention. So a lot of people are starting to do drag, whether they're a performer or not, or a look queen, or they just like getting up in a costume and you know, entertaining people.
Well, Drag Race is so important, and it's such an amazing phenomenon to me because it's something that like I said, I love, and to see it so well accepted and to see how many mainstream people and families watch it. Like I went to DragCon in LA this year. I actually organized a panel for the sisters to speak. There were mothers with their young daughters. Like it's really, really popular with straight women. Straight women love drag and they love Drag Race. And they love, because they love makeup and they love pretty things and they love girly things. And what's more girly and pretty than a bunch of drag queens? I mean, it's just fun. The thing though about the young girls today, and I will say, and this is something about Drag Race too, is that now everybody wants to be on TV. And they think that you have to be on TV to make it big or be famous or do something important or that matters. And that's not true. We all know that's not true. RuPaul was never on TV.
It's fun. It's fun. And it's another way of people to see this crazy, campy. I mean, it's reality TV, and a lot of the stuff is hyped for emotional impact. And I'm sure they feed those bitches liquor on that set all day. That's any reality show I've ever done. They feed you with as much liquor as they possibly can, so you behave the worst that you possibly can. So in that sense, I'm sure that hasn't changed. Television is television. It's scummy. Television is scummy, but it's great, you know. And I love, and it makes it more. It's funny. Sometimes the accessibility makes it less special. That's the thing. It's not as special, you know. I don't want it to become. I'm fearful it'll be common. It'll be very, you know, yeah. But I think the show in itself is really great.
I auditioned one season, and when I realized that they wanted everything but your blood type, I said, "This is my last time doing this." I could be writing a song in a musical that I'm working on with the amount of time that I've been spending on this. And that's when my mom's voice pops into my head. You didn't come here to be a famous drag queen. While I know if I were to ever get onto RuPaul's Drag Race, yes, it would help me, you know, further my fame in spots that I wanted to work on as far as, like, you know, theater and this, that, and the other goes. But I want to work hard and say that I did it myself, not to be resting on somebody else's back or somebody else's name. I wanted to be William, not William, or, as you may know her, Jada from RuPaul's Drag Race. Because then it makes me feel like I didn't work hard for it. I know a lot of girls are going to be pissed about that, but
it's not a question of like thinking I'm too good for it or anything at all. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with I've just been doing this forever. And it's like what I feel or look ridiculous up there with all these like 22-year-olds. Although there's once in a while someone thrown in that's 40. But, you know, what I wish they would do is a season of the seasoned queen so that there could be, you know, performers who have been around for a long time, like me, Jackie Beat, Prodigy Merman, Hedda Lettuce, Shaquita, you know, that group, because we all couldn't really go on it now, but if they did something like that, I think all those performers would jump on the chance to go. I mean, who doesn't want to be a TV star?
Of course, I'm going to audition. It'll happen eventually. Whether or not they want me, okay, whatever. I can still make a living and I can still be happy not being on that show. I think what the show has done is complete magic and revolutionary because it's opened the door for all of us. I wouldn't even be able to do circuit parties right now if it weren't for that show. I certainly probably wouldn't even have been able to work for, the major promoters and the major parties that I have in the city if it weren't for that show. I wouldn't have probably wouldn't even be a viable way to make money and live if it weren't for that show. That show has completely changed the game for everyone, entertainers and drag queens alike. Like, it's incredible what RuPaul has done. Like, absolutely incredible. It's changed history in my eyes because it's really forced straight society to really understand that what this is art, and we're not freaks, and we're allowed to be happy. Like, that show is amazing.
Please don't forget that there was RuPaul before that, who is globally known, and she really did pave the way. And I don't want anyone to forget that it's not just Drag Race, it was, RuPaul was doing it. It's great. It's a great avenue, but there's more to drag than just that competition, There's the artsy-fartsy parts of it, and there's more than just a bunch of girls singing auto-tune songs trying to hustle them on iTunes. You know what I'm saying? And we don't need to pigeonhole it just with drag. Our community has so many talented performers, and they can all intertwine. I need to see the first drag sitcom. I mean, we still haven't had like a male impersonating a woman on a sitcom, which I think is genius. Well, they had it a little bit on 30 Rock. Do you remember that? But how great would that be to have a sitcom that takes themselves seriously, or like a comedy, but where the main character is a drag queen? Is that genius?
Are you married? I'm divorced at the moment. But if the right man comes along, I'll consider remarrying.
You have a hard time on the semi-serious side when I'm sure many people across the world think you're very unusual, that some of them would even call it weird. How do you react to that?
Well, I'm very happy in myself, so I don't let other people's reaction interfere with my own pleasure.
But all of us are affected, Doris, by other people's feelings. Come on, you know that. I mean, it's only human nature.
Oh, right. It's only when they find out the truth that it bothers me.
Well, what is the truth?
Oh, I'm not telling.
Okay. How does the gay community in San Francisco feel about you?
Well, I'm quite popular right now, I hope. I'm quite famous. I get my picture in the gay paper there pretty regularly. I was on the gay cable network when it was on the air last year. I had my own show there for a while. Yes, I think I'm quite popular. I mean, when you become more famous and more popular, you get fans and you get a few people who don't like you, so it's like, 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Okay. Well, Doris, we're out of time. It'd be fun to talk some more. You're not gonna fly back home that way, right?
No, I won't. I'm going to get on a plane.
Okay.
So get out the dollars, 5s, 10s, EBT, WIC. We'll take it all, honey. A coupon, I'm down. WIC glue. I don't care if I'm rich or poor, single, married. Just as long as I'm happy, not hurting nobody, maybe doing something a little good for the world, making people laugh. I think that's enough. That's all you can hope for right now, you know what I'm saying?
Get your freak on? Do you want to do that? No.
I should do the original thing, right? I was gonna do JoJo's new song. Say Love. It's slow, but it's like really what I'm feeling right now.
There isn't another Maddelynn Hatter out there. There isn't. There have been plenty of girls that have tried, but there never was and there never will be, because I'm fucking nuts.
Who am I anyway? Am I my resume? Is this the picture of a person I don't know? What do they want from me? What should I try to be? So many faces all around, and here we go. I need this combination. 4, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Some people are gonna have about 5, 6, 7, 8 moments before I finally get my one. But when I do get my one, nobody's gonna be able to take it from me. And I guarantee that one. So I sit here and I go to auditions and I patiently wait. I don't get upset if I don't get it, because I go, okay, it's not meant to be yet. What will be, will be.
It's a community that accepts you. It doesn't matter who you are. I know one of the first bars I ever came to in the city was Boots and Saddles here, and the head drag queen there, Victoria Chase, came up and said, "Who are you? What's your name?" You know, gave me a hug and said, "Welcome." And that's something that you don't always get in New York City, and that's one of the great things about the drag community here.
Go to the drugstore, buy some makeup, go to Kmart, buy a dress and some cheap heels, and just walk through the middle of fucking Chattanooga, Tennessee, and say, "I am fabulous." And honey, and they'll do it. They'll go, "Yes, yes she is. Yes she is."
The thing that I really want young people to know is it is so gratifying that any little bit of yourself that you give out, any little 10% of your energy and your time and the love that you put out in the world comes back to you 100 times. It is the most gratifying thing you can do in the world.
I think the one thing in my life that I would, if I could go back and change, the only thing I would be I'd go back to high school where I was just like tortured, and I would just come out and be like, "I'm gay," because that would take the air out of the balloon.
Are you taking the rise out of women a bit?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, not at all. No, I don't want any trouble with any women's groups or anything. No, it's just strictly for comedy and to entertain people and to make them laugh, mainly.
Do you think you'd be such a famous entertainer if you didn't use this aspect of dressing up as this outrageous woman? No. And doesn't that make you feel a bit insecure that you need all the makeup?
Because I created the character, so I mean, it is a very big part of me, you know. I think with any of them, like with Boy George, with his makeup, I don't think he would be anything either. I mean, it's all gimmicks in show business, isn't it?
Are you staring at my tits? I can't tell. I have sunglasses on.